The opening scene of the movie, Taken, unfolds with the main character, Brian Mills, purchasing a karaoke machine as a birthday gift for his daughter. He wraps it up and heads to the party, where he excitedly hands the gift to his daughter and encourages her to open it right away. Despite his ex-wife, Lenore, suggesting it's bad manners to open the gift before the others, their daughter's excitement wins, and she eagerly unwraps it. When Lenore realizes it's a karaoke machine, she remarks that their daughter, Kim, used to dream of becoming a singer when she was younger, but things have changed. However, Kim still appreciates the gift and secretly tells Brian that she still wants to pursue singing, but asks him not to tell her mother. Later, Brian and his friends gather for drinks, where they tease him about his retirement and his seemingly mundane life experiences. Through their conversation, we learn that Brian and his wife separated due to his job, and now that he's retired, he's trying to mend their relationship. As the friends bid farewell, one of them presents Brian with a job opportunity nearby, assuring him that it would be easy since he's trying to reconnect with his daughter. The job involves being a bodyguard for a celebrity singer. Without hesitation, Brian accepts the offer. At the job, Brian approaches the singer, seeking advice for his daughter aspiring to be a singer. The singer responds brusquely, suggesting that Kim should consider a different career. Brian, visibly embarrassed, contemplates the interaction. Despite the setback, as Brian and his friends engage in a card game while waiting for the singer's performance to end, he receives a phone call from his daughter, inviting him to dinner. After the performance, a crowd rushes towards them, urging Brian to escort the singer quickly. In a surprising turn of events, Brian effortlessly subdues a man attempting to harm the singer with a knife. Brian successfully escorts the visibly traumatized singer to the car, where she is still shaken from the near-death incident. To help calm her nerves, Brian offers her a can of soda, suggesting that the sugar will take the edge off the shock. Grateful for his assistance, the singer shows her appreciation by offering to help Brian's daughter with her singing aspirations, providing him with her manager's phone number. The next day, at dinner with his daughter, Kim reveals that she wants to go to Paris with her friend Amanda and stay with Amanda's cousins. Brian asks why she wants to go to Paris, and Kim responds by mentioning the museums. Brian admits that he didn't know Kim was into art. In response, she passionately expresses her love for art, mentioning her frequent visits to the MoMA. Upon this revelation, Brian realizes that Kim asked him out for dinner because she needed him to sign the consent form for her trip to Paris, not because she genuinely wanted to spend time with him. Brian is visibly disappointed, as he thought this was an opportunity to strengthen their bond. Concerned about Kim traveling alone at the age of 17, he offers to accompany her while remaining invisible. Kim, heartbroken, bursts into tears. In an attempt to console Kim, Brian takes out the singer's card, indicating that he has something else that is more important. Kim, in distress, storms off, rejecting any additional offerings. Recognizing her sadness, Brian decides to visit later to deliver the signed consent forms and requests the address and phone numbers of Kim's stay in Paris, emphasizing the need for her to call him upon landing and before bedtime each night. Despite the somber circumstances, Brian's caring gesture aimed to ensure Kim's safety and well-being. Upon hearing this, Kim is overwhelmed with joy and happiness. At the airport, while unloading the bags, Brian discovers a marked-out map among Kim's belongings. It dawns on him that her trip to Paris is not just a simple visit, but rather a full-fledged tour. Feeling betrayed, Brian confides in Lenore, sparking a heated argument where he reveals her affluent lifestyle with maids and chauffeurs, accusing her of being out of touch with the real world. Lenore counters by asserting that Kim, too, lacks worldly experience and needs to broaden her horizons. In a threatening tone, she warns Brian that if he doesn't support Kim, she will pursue full custody of their daughter. At the airport in Paris, Kim and Amanda encounter a friendly stranger named Peter, who kindly offers to take their picture. They engage in a conversation about their names and whereabouts, and Peter suggests sharing a taxi to save on expenses, which the girls accepts. Arriving at their apartment, Peter compliments the space, prompting Amanda to disclose that her cousins are currently absent, leaving them with the place to themselves. Peter leaves but unexpectedly makes a phone call. Meanwhile, Brian attempts to reach Kim after learning about her arrival in Paris. After several failed attempts, he finally connects with her, and she apologizes for the delay. Brian seeks the apartment number, but Kim is unaware. Brian then requests to speak with one of Amanda's cousins. Kim regretfully informs him that the cousins are in Spain. Brian, shocked, probes for additional information, suspecting there may be more to the situation. Suddenly, the conversation takes a drastic turn when Kim witnesses the kidnappers taking Amanda. In a state of panic, Kim informs Brian about the situation. Acting quickly, Brian reaches for a briefcase and retrieves a recording device. He instructs Kim to hide under the bed and assures her that she will be taken by the kidnappers. He urges her to provide detailed descriptions of the kidnappers, such as their eye color, hair color, and any tattoos they might have. As the events unfold, Kim lets out a scream while being taken away. Brian, listening intently over the phone, is visibly troubled by the commotion. After a brief moment, the line goes quiet. The kidnappers take the phone, and Brian, filled with a mix of bravery and determination, menacingly threatens them, saying,
"I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you."
The kidnapper responded with a nonchalant, "good luck," before abruptly ending the call. In the subsequent scene, Brian finds himself on a plane headed to Paris, replaying the recording of the kidnapping. Contemplating a dangerous approach, he mentally prepares himself for what lies ahead. Upon arriving in Paris, his initial destination was the apartment where Kim was taken. Drawing upon the skills acquired from his retired job, he meticulously analyzes the apartment, reconstructing the scenario in his mind's eye. Among the remnants on the floor, he discovers the shattered remains of the phone and carefully retrieves the memory stick. With the memory stick in hand, Brian inserts it into a machine and accesses the photos stored within. A glimmer of hope arises when he stumbles upon a photo taken by Peter at the airport. Zooming in on Peter's reflection, Brian utilizes the machine to analyze the image, eagerly awaiting a glimpse of Peter's face. After this, Brian returned to the airport, where he found Peter in the process of planning another abduction. He swiftly cornered Peter into a waiting taxi, interrogating him with a menacing intensity and striking him as he demanded the location of the two American girls, Kim and Amanda, who had been kidnapped the previous day. Peter claimed to have no knowledge of their whereabouts. Brian warned him that the next blow would be directed at his ribs. However, before Peter could reply, another man extracted Brian from the vehicle in an attempt to defend Peter, providing Peter with an opportunity to escape. Utilizing his skills, Brian quickly overpowered the man and pursued Peter, commandeering the taxi in the process. This escalated to an intense foot chase, during which Peter attempted to flee but tragically collided with an oncoming truck. Brian, visibly disappointed, realized that his only lead had perished. Following this, he rendezvoused with an old friend, Jean-Claude. Brian revealed that his daughter had been kidnapped, and Jean-Claude informed him that he now operated behind a desk, taking orders from others. Jean-Claude warned Brian not to bring danger to Paris, but Brian insisted that it was his plan because his daughter was involved. He then inquired about the whereabouts of the Albanians. Jean-Claude, after giving Brian his card, provided valuable intelligence. Subsequently, Brian hired a translator and posed as a customer as part of an orchestrated plan to discreetly place a small microphone on one of the Albanians. Through this, Brian discovered information about a merchandise location at a construction site. Upon investigation, Brian realized that it wasn't merely a construction site, but a stash house where the kidnapped girls were being held captive. Taking the opportunity to search for Kim, he spotted Kim's jacket and questioned a drugged female whom he thought was wearing it. This action alerted the Albanians, resulting in an intense shootout and a car chase. Utilizing his extensive driving experience, he skillfully outran them. Subsequently, he found himself in a motel where the man at the front desk recognized him, commenting on the passing of time. The man inquired if Brian wanted the usual accommodation. Brian responded, N+1. In the motel, he provided the drugged female with medicine to counter the effects of the drug, since she represented his next hope in finding Kim. The following day, the female regains consciousness. Brian seizes this opportunity to question her about the origin of the jacket, presenting a picture of Kim and inquiring if she received it from Kim. The girl denies theft, explaining that Kim gave her the jacket because she was cold. Brian persists, asking where Kim gave it to her, and the girl, with no clear recollection due to being drugged, vaguely mentions the house with the red door. Upon hearing this, Brian probes further, asking about the location of the house with the red door. The girl cryptically responds with paradise. The next day, posing as someone affiliated with the Albanian's boss, Brian requests a meeting. The Albanians initially deny any wrongdoing, but Brian, using the card given by Jean-Claude, ominously threatens legal consequences. Fearing arrest, they reluctantly lead Brian upstairs. Upstairs, Brian adeptly blends in, ordering black coffee with a teaspoon of sugar and discussing extortion rates. He reveals that his team has been surveilling them, hearing and knowing their illicit activities. Frightened, the Albanians comply, paying the demanded amount. After collecting the money, Brian presents a paper in Albanian, claiming a friend gave it to him. The man reads it, responding with, "Good luck." Brian realizes it's the same person he spoke to on the phone 2 days ago, leading to a confrontation. Brian defeats the men effortlessly, then searches for Kim, but finds Amanda's lifeless body, heavily drugged. He interrogates Marco about Kim's whereabouts, resorting to extreme measures. Marco reveals that they sold Kim to someone named Patrice St. Clair, explaining that virgins fetch a high price. Armed with this information, Brian pays an unexpected visit to Jean-Claude. During dinner, Brian unveils his knowledge of Jean-Claude's involvement in the kidnapping business and his association with the men at Paradise. Inquiring about Patrice St. Clair leads to a heated moment, resulting in Brian shooting Jean-Claude's wife in the arm for interrogation. Jean-Claude, under pressure, divulges information about Patrice St. Clair. Brian, after knocking out Jean-Claude, departs his residence, leaving him with the task of apologizing to his wife. On the subsequent evening, Brian attended a social gathering where he assumed the role of a police officer to secure entry. Adroitly blending in, he endeavored to locate Patrice St. Clair. Upon finding him, Brian discreetly trailed him to the second floor, pretending to be a waiter as he delivered drinks to a private room where kidnapped girls were being exhibited for prospective buyers. Skillfully assimilating into the surroundings, Brian closely observed, successfully identifying Kim. Witnessing her, Brian's countenance betrayed a mixture of shock and embarrassment as he drew his firearm, coercing the bidder into purchasing her. Following the transaction, he instructed the bidder to exit, only to be ambushed and rendered unconscious by assailants. Upon regaining consciousness, Patrice questions Brian's motives. Brian revealed that the last girl was his daughter, demanding her release. Patrice, citing business constraints, regretfully declined and ordered his men to eliminate Brian. Leveraging his skills, Brian adeptly extricated himself, subdued the assailants, and make his way to confront Patrice. Despite Patrice's attempts to reason, Brian, consumed by anger and frustration, pressed for Kim's whereabouts. In a tragic turn of events, Brian shoots Patrice upon obtaining the desired information. Subsequently, Brian commandeered a vehicle, hastening to intercept the boat transporting Kim. Maintaining a strategic distance, he successfully incapacitated the first guard, proceeding to locate Kim. However, Brian's presence was detected, culminating in an intense shootout with the assailants. Drawing upon his extensive CIA expertise, Brian emerged victorious, reaching Kim, who was held hostage with a knife. With a bold leap of bravery, Brian neutralized the threat and rescued Kim. Visibly traumatized and injured, Kim wept as they shared a poignant embrace. Following this ordeal, Kim reunited with her mother at the LA airport, their tears mingling with the embrace. The movie concluded with Brian surprising Kim with a visit at the singer's residence, eliciting the singer's response, "So I heard that you wanted to be a singer."